Good morning, Jefferson City. This is the NT Daily for Wednesday, June 17th. We have a very special episode today. We are talking government again, but not state government this time. Yes, the state budget, the governor's income tax plan, state government, they like to take up all the oxygen in the room. They are always the elephant in the room. But we have city government here today. We have City Administrator Brian Crane, and I'm here to tell you there's a lot to talk about in the city because they have a few things that the state government doesn't have going on right now, and that is fun projects. So it is not the redheaded stepchild. It is more like the second-born child with pick-me energy. So we are not leaving out city government. We have a lot going on in the city that we want to talk about. Good news. So Brian Crane has been the city administrator since September 2023. Before that, he was a city councilman in the early 2000s. Grew up in Jefferson City. Before that, he was the city administrator for Moberly. And we were very excited to have him on the NT Daily because he does not do these interviews often. So we may have bribed him, but just kidding. That is not something that we do here, I promise. Okay, so City Administrator Brian Crane, welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's really an honor to be able to provide an update on a lot of important things in our community.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Fun stuff. We have our local government reporter, our shining star and fan favorite, Stephi Smith here today joining me. I'm going to kick it over to her because she was actually at the city council meeting on Monday night and I was not. So she is going to kick us off here.
So on Monday, you guys had that proposed bill for the vacancy process, and then Jeff Allers withdrew it because I think there were some amendments that the council people or maybe the legal team wanted to look at. So what is the timeline now for finding a new Ward 3 representative to fill Derek Thomas's seat?
Yeah, I think the process that's currently on the books in our city code is what we're going to follow. We thought that there would be an opportunity to maybe improve the process over the last few months. Unfortunately, we didn't realize we were going to have another vacancy at the same time we were trying to figure out a new process. So with Councilman Derek Thomas leaving on June 2nd, it kind of made a situation where we were dealing with not only a process change, but also needing to put somebody in that seat. So the council is going to be deliberating over the next month and a half, really. Probably the next 2 to 3 meetings, you'll see that process unfold, and it'll be the process that we currently have on the books. And at the same time, Councilman Allers has said that he's going to take that bill back to the admin committee and continue to refine it and maybe hopefully get some more amendments and some more thoughts and ideas and package together something that can be better for our community. So there's really two things going on there. One is changing the process. The other is actually getting somebody seated.
And what are the requirements to be the potential new Ward 3 council member?
Well, you got to live in that ward for a certain amount of time. I think it's 6 months. You've got to be of age, and then you have to also have paid all your taxes. So it's the basic requirements. Now, there's a couple other things additional there, but we do that vetting at the staff level. Our city clerk will accept those nomination forms, the declaration of candidacy, and then make sure that they are qualified to serve.
And have you had interest in the position yet? Have you had anybody write it?
Yeah, luckily, Councilman Thomas provided us about a month of notice that he was going to be leaving on June 2nd. So I think there's probably a lot of discussion with people in the community. It's not something that staff really gets involved with. It's something that the mayor and the council are dealing with right now. So I'm sure if anybody's interested, they're talking to their council members and saying that they would like to be a part of that process.
Awesome. Probably the biggest development project I've been most excited about, and this is because I've lived in cities where I've had access to a river market before, which is exciting. But we will soon have a river market. Tell us about what's the latest on the project. It's going to, I think the timeline we last were told was late summer, early fall, maybe it'll be opening up.
Yes, we're right on schedule with that. I'm very excited. We said river market when we started this project. We kind of thought it was going to be a working title, so maybe that name changes in the future, but we really tried to give an idea and a thought of what we can do with that space, and seeing it take shape right now is just really exciting for us. If you go down there right now, I think it's asphalt week, so you're going to see a lot of asphalt being laid, which is one of the final steps. So it's going to be really cool to actually see this taking shape. And then when you look at the things the state of Missouri is doing around that site as well, we think it's going to all work together. Chestnut Street's getting extended, Health Lab's getting close, the old shoe factory's still being considered for remodel for the state parks. We obviously got DNR sitting right there. So we got a lot of things happening there. We're really excited, and we think it's going to be a great asset for our community. It's going to be a rented facility. This is a joint project between the city and Parks and Rec, where we used a lot of grant money to build this, and now Parks and Rec is going to take it over. So if anybody's interested in renting that space, contact our Parks and Rec, and they can make that available for a variety of different events. It's going to be a really cool facility. It's got a nice big pavilion that's got doors on all the sides that can roll up. It's got a lot of green space. It's got electric and water services that can connect for food trucks. So we think it's going to be a real flexible space that's going to really have a great view of the river as long as the train's not there.
Yeah.
When the train's there, I think it blocks them.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you're going to see cool trains going by and a real good shot of the river. And hopefully, this will spur a lot more development on the land that's not developed right now.
I was just going to ask, in 10 years, if you had to have like an ideal vision for what that space, what that part of the city would look like, what would you want to see there?
Well, I'm hoping quicker than 10 years. So we're pushing really hard. But it's really going to be a mixed-use development on the rest of that. It's about 10 acres left. So we had about 17, which is what we call the lower yard, and it kind of wraps around up to Lafayette. So we're doing a real cool trail from Chestnut all the way up to Lafayette. We've applied for grants to try to get another secondary access point to Adrian's Island, coming right off of Lafayette. It was actually one of the plans that they had evaluated when they did the first one. So they looked at a bunch of different options. So we're going to hopefully get some grant funds to put that trail bridge going down to Adrian's Island, connecting. You can get all the way to Riverside Park. It's really going to activate that riverfront for us. And the rest of the 10 acres, we really think you're going to see a mixed-use development like you see in a lot of big cities.
Yeah.
One of the concepts.
Would housing be part of that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, and if you look, really the model that we look at that's closest to what we're looking for is that kitchen development that's there on the south side of Columbia, where you can play pickleball. There's outdoor activities. There's commercial properties on the first floor. You got residential on top. So that's when we're talking about mixed use, we're talking about blending a lot of different activities together and really trying to create an environment where people can work, live, and play all in the same location, which seems to be a really big desire for a lot of people in our community and nationwide.
That whole corridor in East Capitol has got like a lot of projects. I'm pretty excited to see where it's going to go. I think the Missouri Chamber the other day said something about like East Capitol is doing a big revitalization with like the new properties that they're building, and then obviously the river market, and then you have things like Patriarcha, the Chambers kind of made it.
Yeah, if you start at the Capitol and you look at what the Capitol Commission's trying to accomplish there, you work your way down to Loman's Landing. We got the old Union Hotel getting ready to be remodeled and reactivated. The governor's mansion, I think, is always doing work in that area, and there's going to be some exciting things there. And then you look at our conference center right there, and you just keep on going down that block, and then you get to the next block where you're looking at a couple of developments on the 400 block of East Capitol, the Missouri Association of Counties, Missouri Chamber. I mean, you just keep going until you get to that river market, and there is when you add in the state investment and the local investment and the city investment, it's $500 million to $1 billion worth of investment in that area.
So speaking of exciting things and investment, Jefferson City has always had a very exciting 4th of July celebration. It's always fun to watch the fireworks at the Capitol, but we have a little bit bigger celebration planned around the 250th birthday this year.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on around the week of 4th of July?
Yeah, it's going to be a 2-day event. It's going to be very similar to last year, but there's going to be some enhancements. I think you'll see the live concert with Chris Jansen coming is going to be exciting for a lot of people. Obviously, the show, the fireworks show is going to be great. If you want more information, Salute puts on that event. They're always looking for volunteers. They're always looking for additional resources to try to make this as great as possible. And I think what you're going to see with America 250 going on this year is additional resources and elevated a bit. We're going to have that parade. They're moving it to 6 p.m. at night.
Hopefully.
So we're going to have a night parade. I think it's going to be a big parade. This is a big year for us. So I think you're going to see a lot of entries, and hopefully everybody can come and enjoy downtown Jefferson City. And hopefully we get weather like this week. We're
Yeah.
80s. I mean, we're in mid-June and we're getting
I know.
80s. I mean, I hope we can get that.
Yeah. So Steffi has been following. You all did something I thought pretty unique around the renewal for the capital improvement sales tax. You had coffees on Wednesday at City Hall. Steffi covered those on Wednesdays. I'm going to turn this question over to her, but
Yeah, I was kind of missing like the city coffee.
yeah.
Let's just keep it going.
Yeah, I can just be me or Molly. So for the capital improvement sales tax, this election is in August. It's for a 10-year renewal. I think that's the only difference about this tax compared to past years, just that 10 years. What should voters know about that tax before they go to the ballot box?
Well, I think, we've shown a history of success for the last 40 years. We had a really good discussion about how we allocate those funds at our finance committee meeting. And that finance committee felt like it was appropriate the way we split those funds. So if anybody's interested, they can go to improvejeffcity.com and they can see from the campaign committee's perspective, Brad Bates and Ken Hussey are running that campaign. So we just provide information and resources. So those coffees that we had at City Hall were really an opportunity to show people what our current needs are and what our past successes were and what we think our future looks like. So having that 10-year window will really help us plan. A lot of these projects just take years anymore to put together. And the bigger projects, unfortunately, with a 5-year window have been kind of left behind because you can never get enough resources to do something. The viaduct's a perfect example of a project that it's like, yeah, we need to do something there, but it's just really been hard to get the resources and the long-term stability of that plan executed. So I think it's going to give us an opportunity to look more at resources, resource allocation, and planning over the next 10 years to figure out how to plug these projects in. And then also what we really do, and Steffi hears this a lot from me, I feel like I'm going to my same shtick here. I need new material. But it really gives us an opportunity to leverage funds, and that's what we really take time doing. We have a lot of great staff and employees that really focus on when we have a need in our community, how can we match that up with grant funds? The viaduct's a perfect example. We've applied 4 times for 4 different grants in the last 2.5 years. We're going to keep doing that. This is such an expensive project. We've got to figure out how to get additional resources. The state of Missouri's been good to us. They conveyed the land that we needed for the viaduct. We're going to start those negotiations with OA. We're going to continue to apply for grants. Congressman Onder got us $1 million in last year's community project allocation. I think we're on the right track to get some more of those funds. But at the end of the day, this is an asset in our community that's really important during floods. But when there's no floods, we have additional options. And when you're talking about a $15 to $20 million project, only carrying 3,000 to 4,000 cars a day, that's a huge commitment for a city that has a tremendous amount of needs all over the city to put all our eggs in that basket. So leveraging that money is going to get it over the finish line.
And we have to thank our sponsors really quick. I want to make sure that we cut to thank our sponsors of the NT Daily. MU Healthcare's front door is never too far from yours. With more than 80 locations across mid-Missouri and expert hospital care in Jefferson City and Columbia, MU Healthcare is committed to ensuring every Missourian has access to the region's most advanced diagnostic and treatment options. MU Healthcare, expert care close to you. Thank you again to our newest sponsor, MU Healthcare, and we are getting ready for my favorite new segment. Brian, I don't know if you've seen it yet, but we have a new segment because sadly, local prep sports have ended, so I can't talk about that anymore at the end of the show. So we have started a segment called Hot Mess or Hot Take, or Hot Take or Hot Mess. So if you agree with the take, it's a hot take. If you disagree or you just don't want to wade into that, we call it a hot mess. And typically how I do this is I take from our local opinion section. So I try to take a Jefferson City Reader column that is submitted to us, and I decide whether I agree with it or not. But I'm doing this job for you all. I need you to be submitting more letters. I decided to just kind of come up with my own opinions today.
So you're going to do hot take and hot mess, and I'm going to do it?
So you're going to say, I'm going to give my opinion.
Okay.
I'm going to frame it this way. I'm going to give it as Erin's opinion, and you are going to say that that is either a hot take or it is hot mess.
Do you get mad if I disagree?
No.
No. And if I say maybe, is that a hot mess, right?
Well, we have like a barometer, so it can be kind of in the middle. Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah. You can also say it's a hot take with a sprinkle of hot mess.
Okay, we can do that.
That's been a take that we've had before. Okay, so my first opinion I'm going to put forward, you've touched on it a little bit. The state, particularly the state legislature, uses city resources, particularly the parking garage. I mean, during session, the Madison Street parking garage on a busy day at the Capitol is booked. It's solid. There's nowhere to park by 8 or 8:30. If the state and the General Assembly and out-of-town groups rely heavily on the city's infrastructure and resources like the parking garage, it's fair to say that they should also contribute general revenue and state funds.
I like where your head's at.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's a hot take?
That's
your hot take?
That's my hot take. That's my opinion, is that they should be on the hook to help the city out in the ways that you were talking about. If we're leveraging matching funds, we're trying to really grow as a community, have more amenities, but it's really hard to do that without investing in solid infrastructure. And we have the state legislature uses a lot of our local infrastructure, but we are sometimes on the hook for a large amount of that. So my take is that if they use it and it's an amenity to them, kind of, they should have a role in paying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I would say that's a hot take for me too.
Okay.
Do you want me to give some insight?
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah.
No, that's legitimate. And what I think you would see if you looked at states all over the nation, and the capital cities in those states, there's a variety of ways the state can help support that local government. One of the best examples really is our fire department. You know, when you look at a lot of the services the state provides, other than public works, obviously they got to use our streets. But, you know, they've got Capitol Police.
Yeah.
You know, and you remember the Hot Pocket story from last year.
Yes, that's
So we had to deploy the resources.
Yeah.
And those resources are very expensive. Now, luckily, the state of Missouri, more on an ad hoc approach, does support us. So I wouldn't say they don't support us. I would say there's more room to grow. And I think you'll see that as a concerted effort over the next few years as we talk about the needs of our community, how the state can help. And I would say they've always been open to listening, and they've, whether it's, helping us potentially on the parking garage, helping us on buying the ARF truck for the airport, which is an asset that's important to the state as well. They continue to step up. We need a more sustained effort, and I think that's what you'll see us work on.
Okay.
Was that a hot take?
That was great. I loved it. That was perfect.
Okay.
That was what I was looking for. But I'm going to do one more, and I'm going to give the last one to Steffi, because I think we'll want to end on her note. But
okay.
This issue, I think, gets contentious. It's been contentious in every urban area that I've lived in. Housing. I think that Jefferson does not have enough affordable, accessible housing. I think that one way that you attract developers is through incentive. So I'm going to be pro-incentive on this. I think you have to spend a little bit of money or have a little bit of skin in the game as a city to try to attract the right developers and the right kind of projects. So that's my hot take. I think that it's not always easy, particularly when construction costs right now are so high. I think that you have to have the right environment and the right pieces in place to attract the right kind of projects. But I think that housing in particular and incentives for developers or incentives for bid projects get a little contentious, and some people would say that that's messy.
Luckily, it sounds like we're going to agree on both these hot takes. And I feel like, once again, Steffi could probably answer this one for me because she's heard me say it so many times. We've got to start treating residential development like we treat economic development. And what you've seen over the last 2 years is a council that's been willing to do that. And we've got a lot of projects in the pipeline. When I got here, we built 20 to 30 homes in 1 year. That's not enough. This last year, I think the last time I saw the permit count on new homes, we were over 100. And we think over the next 5 to 10 years, with the incentive programs that we've been offering now, we're going to continue to grow that. So we're absolutely engaged on this issue. The internal growth that we need and the external growth. So there's two ways to grow your community. Internally, more homes, more people, make your density increase, or externally through annexation and other means.
Yeah.
Whether it's an undeveloped piece of land where they need our sewer and they want to connect to us and then they annex. But I think what you can see if you look at the historical maps of Jefferson City, our geographical area hasn't grown. And when you look at Columbia, we're compared to a lot. Look at the way their land...
They've grown by expanding their land mass.
Yes.
So I think Kansas City would give you some caution on how to undoing that.
And that's what we say. We want the right growth. We want managed growth. We want planned growth.
Yeah.
But we do need growth.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'm going to give the last one over to Steffi.
Is this the hard hitter?
It's a little harder.
Am I supposed to give my own opinion, or sorry?
Then we call it the hot take.
Steffi doesn't get to give opinion. Erin gives opinion. Steffi,
because you're on the editor table and she's the hard news.
Yeah, Erin gets away with a little bit more by being. I editorialize some, but you frame it, and I'll give my opinion, and then Brian can give it.
Okay, so the hot take. Okay, yeah. So for the big thing, I think, in the news kind of is there's obviously the conference center. People are kind of looking at the Madison Street garage empty lot and wanting to see when that will begin. And somebody at Monday's council meeting actually said that they are kind of nervous about what the city is doing at the conference center. They don't think that the hotel or the conference center itself will get enough business. I guess I know that there have been like market studies. Do you feel confident enough in those market studies, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, we hire professionals, so I do not know the hotel market enough to say that I think it's going to be good or not. But what we do is we hire experts and pros that then have to give us the information, and then people that actually will buy the bonds to do this project. Because you got to remember, there's 3 different pots on this project. There's the conference center. The lodging tax is primarily going to pay for that. There's the parking garage. User fees for the parking is going to pay for the parking garage. The hotel is paid for primarily through people staying at the hotel. So you got to take that study where these experts say, oh yeah, we think you can charge this and you're going to have this many people show up. You take that to the people that are actually going to buy those bonds that you're going to have to then pay back through the hotel. And they got to be confident in that. So I would say, yeah, there is concern. There should be concern. But we've tried to mitigate that concern by hiring professionals, and then the bondholders also take a look at it and they hire their professionals. So this thing, and then not only that, we have a financial advisor that's also going to give their insight. So a company called Piper Sandler is our financial advisor. We have Gilmore Bell as our bond counsel. CBRE is the one that did that market study. We've got a lot of high-powered organizations that are trying to provide us the resources to make that judgment, and that's what the council is going to have to do.
And those businesses will have there's no stake in it. Like they aren't going to necessarily tell you that it's a good idea if it's not a good idea, because they would have no reason.
Particularly those buying the bonds, they are going to manage risk, right? Essentially, when they decide how to back the bond.
Their stake is their reputation. Yeah. And if they want to stay in business, they can't be giving rosy projections that don't come to fruition. And that's going to be the rub, is does the council feel comfortable in the model that we put before them that's been vetted by all these organizations that say, yes, we should do this, or no, we should. And we're getting real close, but we're not there. And we haven't been there for a year. That's what we're working on, is trying to figure out a model that is sustaining and fundable. The $15 million for the parking garage is critical to that. And I can say, when we look at the needs of our parking in downtown, there's really questions if we can afford a parking garage without a new draw. Because like when I came here today, I parked right out in front. Mm-hmm. When the session's not in, we don't have a parking problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a difficult, because it gets lumped in with other projects where tax incentives or where city taxpayers are on the hook, or public taxpayers, a public tax base is on the hook for a lot more of the project. I think that the city council has done a good job of managing the taxpayer risk on this project to the extent that I understand it. And I'm not a finance person, so I can't get into the minutia on it. But it sounds like they've vetted it pretty well. I think, yeah, I mean, this is not a situation, I think, where you have like the Chiefs Stadium, where there was a lot more like resentment, and the way that Kansas decided to go with the star bonds, I think, puts a lot of their public infrastructure in deep trouble over the way that they structured that deal. So unfortunately, these big projects just get lumped in all together, even though they have much different like financing to them. We've been talking about this convention center since I was a kid, like even before that, I think. So it's like, and we're not going to age Erin here. We don't do that on this show. That is one thing we do not do. But it's decades and decades and decades old, this idea. And I just see how much we miss out on. And I think we are losing during session. We're losing patrons to the central business district. And if we're going to develop down East Capitol and really try to keep people down here, especially during session, I just think this project is instrumental to doing that, because I know like a lot of people stay at the Marriott right now. When you take people back to the Marriott, sometimes you just end up on the west side of town to go to dinner or do other things, because you don't want to deal with parking, and you don't want to come back down, and you don't want to drive, and you're kind of already out that you've kind of headed out that way. So you end up kind of not. And so I think, anytime that you can keep patrons, keep them walking, keep them with businesses downtown, that's good. So I'm more on the hot take side, but not for projects of this size, generally speaking, for this project.
Yeah, when I first started this job, I didn't really understand anything about state taxes or like economic development or what that meant. And I thought it was interesting that the developers explained that, like, yeah, people are going to come to this hotel or this conference center, and then the goal is that they go and get dinner at Madison, and so they go to like Carr's Hallmark downtown, and then you guys get more tax revenue. So it kind of like all follows each other. It does.
And that's why a lot of traditional type developer companies that aren't the city really struggle on doing projects this size, because they don't realize that benefit. The city realizes the benefit, but people go to the west side to go eat, or hopefully Olive Garden in a few months. That's getting really close.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of economic activity. And when you look at the study that we did, another, kind of trying to check the box on making sure we're doing all of our due diligence, we had the University of Missouri's Business School do the economic impact analysis for this county. And it was well over $500 million of economic impact for that project coming here.
Well, before we wrap for today, thank you again for your time.
No problem.
So excited that you
enjoyed it.
Accepted an invitation. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think it's a great day to be in Jefferson City. And what I see every day is people willing to invest in our community and are willing to support our community. And that is so critical, because I can tell you that not every community has that.
It's awesome. All right. We will be right back after we are going to have another thank you for our sponsors at Hen House. And before we close, a quick thank you to today's NT Daily sponsor, Hen House, your local market right here in Jefferson City. Hen House has you covered for summer meals this week, whether you're firing up the grill with KC strip steaks or bacon-wrapped beef, filet mignons, grabbing southern peaches, red seedless grapes, or a whole seedless watermelon. That's a big hit at my house. Or just making the very responsible decision to bring home something from the bakery, like their cinnamon rolls or chocolate chip cookies. They've also got other deli favorites like Ketchmar, Black Forest ham, mesquite turkey breast, and buffalo chicken breast this week. Plus, their soup and salad bar is open daily, Monday through Friday. So go see our friends at Hen House at 1904 Southwest Boulevard in Jefferson City. Those deals are good for this week, and you can always text 41570 to get those deals straight to your phone. And that is all for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed us talking just about Jefferson City and our city government today, and some of the exciting things happening right in our own backyard that has nothing to do with the state government and its attention-grabbing headlines. But remember, city government is where a lot of the day-to-day work happens, the projects, plans, your day-to-day services, and the decisions that shape pretty much what happens when we walk out the door and need to find a parking spot on Madison. So I want to thank Brian Crane again for joining us, our city administrator. Continue to follow along at the News Tribune for our coverage of our local government and more. And we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.